I saw Turning Red yesterday.
I was going to watch Turning Red. Yeah, looked like it was pretty good. I mean, it's a real Pixar. It's here.
So Turning Red is fucking great.
Yeah.
It's absolutely great. And me and Paige watched it last night and had a really fascinating experience because Turning Red is the new Disney Pixar movie where the girl turned into a red panda when she gets stressed out. And very interesting experience because it takes place in adjacent to Toronto's Chinatown in 2002,
Mm-hmm.
a time period in which the characters in middle school, at the time I would have been in high school, but Quebec high schools are 7 to 11. So these are people who would have been in my high school during the time that I was there.
Yeah, about 2 to 3 years later, we'd be driving down to Love Getty Arcade to play Street Fighter 4.
Yeah, exactly. And it is aggressively Canadian and aggressively Torontonian. And like, if my timing is right, I think Scott Pilgrim is literally occurring simultaneous to it a couple streets over.
Beautiful. Honest Ed's
Um,
and the Beguiling all set up. Hell yeah.
like it's really like half a block over from Scott Pilgrim.
Nice.
Um, the Canadian representation on it is so overt and intense that there are scenes that only I fully understood, and I had to pause and explain to Paige. The number one of which is during a scene in which kids are going, oh, "I'll give you my money. I'll give you my money." The money is blurred in focus, but the bills are bright blue with no numbers visible,
Hmm.
and so Paige couldn't tell how much money was on the screen. But I'm like,
Yeah,
no, they're all holding 2 5s. That's
that's
their lunch
fives.
money,
Yeah.
right?
Blue's a 5. Green's a
Down to
20.
like the streets having those awful automatic parking machines
Mm.
in the background.
Okay.
Like
Okay.
just like intense. And it is about this is a very minor spoiler for the first 20 minutes of the movie, of a movie called Turning Red. The movie is a partial metaphor for your period,
Oh. Okay.
because it's about a 13-year-old girl growing up and turning red
Oh.
and
Okay.
going through bodily changes that make her embarrassed
Mm.
and get angry for no reason and upset for etc.
I was wondering. I was like,
And
I'm sure there's. When I saw that title, I'm like, I'm sure there's a double entendre of some way in this title, but I don't know what it is yet. Yeah. Okay.
yeah, it's about getting your period, which I was looking at the trailer and I like it zapped in my brain. I'm like, I kind of feel like I want to watch this because I don't think I've ever even heard of a story tackling this at all, let alone a Disney story,
Mm-hmm.
let alone a Disney story in which maxi pads are in frame on camera being talked about. Like, legitimately dumbfounded. It feels like I'm watching I Love Lucy and she looks over at Desi and being like, "You want to go fuck Desi?" Like,
Yeah. No, all I'm thinking of is that back then is the commercials with the hey look, it's got the blue wingtips and we're gonna
yeah,
pour the fluid on it and look how absorbent of
yeah,
the blue fluid. And it's like, is that
100%.
ladies, is that what happens? You got blue fluid? It
Yeah.
absorbs?
Well, yeah. Well, it's nice and safe for TV. But yeah, no, it is like, as somebody who did not have menstruation growing through that period, or does not now, I did go through puberty, and it was fucking rough, and it sucked shit. And this is the most dead-on accurate portrayal of just how fucking awful and cringe it is to be a young person, like going through your bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Mm-hmm.
specifically mean the term cringe. There is a very significant part of the movie's opening runtime dedicated to just how fucking cringe it is to be like 12 to 15. How everything you do is the most embarrassing thing in the world, all the way down to a fucking extended weirdo fan fiction sequence.
Hell yeah. Okay.
Which has had a great reaction online. I've seen people going like, I can't believe this movie. Girls aren't like, no, shut up. Every girl I knew in my whole life wrote stupid weirdo shit in high school. Every single fucking one.
100%.
The
not
weird,
even a 9 on
what?
10. Not even a oh, most of, not even a, no, literally, I'm saying this. I'm saying literally 100%. Every single one of them. I will not hear otherwise. I'm sorry. It's been confirmed.
What if Legolas was a fish man?
100%
in the ocean, like 100%.
Absolutely. Okay, that's the realest it's ever been.
It's like that is the era of the deepest cringe. Girls are writing stories. Boys are pretending to act out cringe stories that they found. Girls are writing Kingdom Hearts parking lot. Boys are in Kingdom Hearts
They're
parking
filming
lot.
it. Yeah.
It is the idea that you are not the most fucking embarrassing thing to ever exist at that age is so absurd.
Like, even I remember talking to some friends and like having it was me and some of my super nerdy friends, and we're all conversing, and Punch Mom was meeting them, and Punch Mom, in her again extraordinarily normie self, even then it was like, okay, the topic of like fan fiction and slash stuff comes up, and I'm like, yeah, okay, what was it? Just, it's like,
I mean, it could have been like kind of normal, or it could have been like the weird shit.
Like, no, stop making noises. What was it? It was like, Harry Potter. Yeah. I'm like, everybody.
Of course.
Everybody can't escape. Yeah.
No, you can chart it by year.
Yeah, but you know, it's funny because there's a lot of things that, like, outside of the titular turning red in this particular case, period situation, like, there's so many that you go down the list, because if you're not dealing with that, you might be dealing with like severe horrible white kid acne.
Yeah, or in this particular case, your secondary theme is overbearing parents.
Well, there's that.
Like specifically, this would be first generation immigrant overbearing parents with the expectations. Something that I personally know nothing about, but have seen over and over and over from my friends that had those parents in high school and university.
And, you know, and just so that everyone knows, it's like besides your crazy explosive pizza face, white kid acne, black kids, you've got your massive ashy ass face bumps that come in, and there's nothing you can do about them. And for those that get them, you just pray. It's just like, sorry, man. Like, it sucks that it happened to you. You know, we have some friends that got it worse than others, but the fucking, just, you get that terrible hair growing back in the wrong places, and it's coming under the bump, and it's not quite acne. It's the hair thing, and it's ashing out. And you kind of just look like you need to moisturize your face every hour of the day. It's horrifying.
You know what my favorite version of this is? And I was talking, Paige didn't know about this. I was talking to her about it a couple weeks ago, unrelated. The lie about hair that men are told and women are not told, because the purpose of the lie is different. I was told early, and I'm sure maybe you were also, that, you know, if you shave your face, you shave your hair, it'll grow back thicker and darker.
Oh, yeah.
And the reason why you're told that is so that you shave that pathetic bullshit you're trying to get going off your face. That fucking bullshit you have on your face at 14, because you're like, I'm a man, I can grow it. And your dad is like, you look like a fucking asshole. God damn it. It's gonna take years to come in. Like because as you get older, you're like, I was only able to get this when I was like 18, right?
Yeah.
But I started to grow a version of it when I was like 12. And the version that I grew was the fucking most scum shit child mustache you ever saw.
It does not grow back faster. It grows back more coarse. That's what happens. The texture changes. And I noticed that as someone who, for a while, I wanted to focus on specifically the chin strap. And it never got any longer. It never got any lower. So then I'm like, all right, I'm shaving everything but the chin strap. And when they all grow back together, you think it would have been like going the opposite direction with giant mutton chops, but it hasn't. This is the length of my hair. It refuses to go any further. And everything else was a lie. But the texture feeling is what you can differentiate between the two, you know?
So yeah, also for Turning Red, it's funny. It's incredibly well animated. It's a really beautiful movie. Like the colors are. We were looking at stuff on Twitter earlier. It's like, oh, it's the Sailor Moon palette. It's lots of pastels, greens and blues and pinks. It looks really nice.
I believe the same director as Bao, right?
I don't know, but what I can say is that it's been a while since I saw a film that was so overtly about whoever wrote it. There is a sequence in which a character gets embarrassed by their mom. That might be the most dead on, this is a real story that obviously actually happened I have ever seen in a story. And I'm like near retching with secondhand embarrassment, and it's like, fuck.
Do you remember? I was gonna say, Bao was the short film about the grandma who made the little bun kid, and it was one of the shorts that played.
I completely forgot about that.
I forgot what it played before. It played before some movie. But yeah, so it was that same. Incredibles 2.
I don't know the name.
Okay, before Incredibles 2, there was that, and that kind of established like, yeah, they know how to tackle the subject matter here. It feels like they're on point because that was a really great short.
Yeah. The joke about people calling it My Neighbor Toronto is pretty dead on.
Nice.
And also this is gonna sound a little odd for me to point out, but it really felt with the whole, like, I was explaining this to Paige, because when I go to the US, I feel like I am in a fake location. Every time I've ever been in the US, I feel very strongly dissociated, because TV stories are not real. And in TV stories, they use American money, and they work in cities that look like America. So when I go to America, I feel like I'm on a TV set. It feels totally unreal. This is one of the first things I've seen in a long time. Scott Pilgrim was one of the other ones, in which is, wow, I've been to here. This is a real place. This feels like a version of the school that I went to. Like, it's Lester B. Pearson Middle School, for fuck's sake. Like,
yeah.
You know how many fucking Lester B. Pearson fucking schools there are?
I hear that. So I hear that about shows, specifically stuff in New York that takes place and is filmed in New York, where it's and they go to iconic places and locations. I hear that as a little bonus thing of people who are from there are like, yeah, it's cool to see the places, and they recognize those corners and those streets, and it's a level of it that we just don't see or appreciate or care about, you know. But like Sex and the City, for example, is like aggressively using recognizable New York locations, which if you happen to live there, it'll make an extra impact on you. You know, but like, I'm just used to like things existing in a world I don't know, you know?
So there's a second part to this, which, like, I'm sure the hyper cynical is going to criticize the movie for being woke and diversity, whatever. But it takes place adjacent to Chinatown, Toronto. So most of the main casts are going to be Chinese Canadians who live in Chinatown.
Yo, is P-Mall there?
I don't think P-Mall is there.
Damn. Okay.
Your side cast, however, includes like I don't know how to describe the emotion here. An actual good cross section of what it looks like to live in Toronto, in which it's the first time in anything animated I've seen an observant Sikh ever.
Okay.
Or a Muslim lady wearing a hijab ever.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Or a obviously Jewish girl who is not wearing something on her person that will denote to the viewer that she's a Jewish girl.
Right. Okay. And
right?
if someone is not aware, they might think that sounds like a Benetton ad. But if you've gone to school
Right.
here, you'll look at any
And it's
given
like,
classroom and
Well,
realize
you go to Toronto,
that's what these classrooms look
Toronto
like.
has a lot of Chinese folks. It has a lot of observant Sikhs. It has a
Mhm.
lot of Jewish folk, like etc. And the weird thing is that it was weird to see this because I realized it was the first time in a while I'm watching a movie that takes place in these locations in which the people I'm looking at were not weird. Where, like, I'll watch something and you'll watch, like, the cast of Law and Order, and Law and Order takes place in fucking New York. But despite that, like, 98% of the cast of Law and Order is a bunch of white guys.
Yeah.
And then there's like then you have the detective that's black for this season, and maybe there's the detective that's Hispanic for this season, etc.
Also, isn't every criminal on Law and Order also white?
No.
No? Okay. I don't watch it, but I've heard over the years that there's been a thing about that too.
There's a lot.
Okay. All right.
And it's like, oh, this looks like Toronto. Like, this just actually looks like Toronto, like, visibly. And it ends up being weird because it actually looks normal. I don't know how to describe it.
Yeah, no, it's what we went to school with. What we
like it's this super silly thing to be like the security guard of the school is a Sikh guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, yeah, of course. I used to live in a neighborhood that was like next to a Sikh temple, and those guys are around with the I don't know what it's called. I feel bad now, but their hair is up in the in the hat, and like, yeah, those guys they're cool and they're all over. Why haven't I ever seen one animated in my life? That's weird. Oh, it's because it would only count if it was in Toronto or Montreal or a couple other places.
Yeah. I think
why couldn't I remember the word turban? That's so weird. Maybe it was Trudeau in disguise. No,
maybe
the prime minister is not on camera.
I don't, I'm not sure if, like, because there's some
that would really fuck it up.
Because there's some that are like more certain turban shaped, like that is kind of like more like Jagmeet, and then there's the ones that are more like a wrap that is differently shaped, but I'm not sure if they have different names or not. I'm thinking back to the kid that was in my school that we grew up with that was that had like a kind of a different shape to that too, and I remember just also like being like, yo, wait, so like there's like a hidden blade on you at all times? It's like, yeah, no, it's a thing. It's like, oh shit.
Oh, dude, I remember that court case. There was a fucking court case about that in this stupid fucking province, where the kid had the little dagger, like a fucking, what is it, like 3-inch little tiny knife around his neck as a religious thing, and they wanted to take it away from him, and the court's decision is like, they were like, oh, it's a knife in a school, and they're like, well, no one's literally ever been stabbed with these in the history of the nation.
It's been a thing for a while now.
How about we chill on that until something actually literally happens once ever? And that was 10 years ago, and there's still nothing, because of course there isn't.
Yeah. No, there's a whole weirdness to the aggressiveness of, like, because I mean, French and French history is just like, fuck you, church, and I'm like, fuck you, church, as well, but also chill. there's such a thing as going too far. But yeah, what you're describing, that's interesting, because I want to see that, and I specifically want to see the Canadian flavor version of it, because it is a unique version of what we grew up with up here.
It's also kind of cute because like the neighborhood that they're in, there's like vintage shop or old buddy's coffee, and I'm like, man, this is 2002 as hell because that shit's all gone.
Oh, that's dead. That's long been
All that
Starbucks.
shit is
Mm-hmm.
dead.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh, this is the Toronto I visited when I was a young man or in my teens. That I was like, cool, Toronto, and then, fucking,
Yeah, no. Once you leave the core and and the little areas where you got the trolley cars and shit, then you've got basically highway life. You know, hope you're down for your existence being wrapped around highways. But cool, yeah. I'm gonna go check that
yeah,
out because
Turning Red's great. You should check it out.
I basically was like we were deciding between like that and possibly seeing Batman because I hear Batman's good.
That was the discussion last night. Paige was like, do you want to watch Batman or do you want to watch Turning Red? And I'm like, let's see which one wants me to go expose myself to COVID.
And
Turns out it was Batman.
It was Batman.
So we watched Turning Red instead.
Yeah.